All right, time to get to work on the next project. This one's going to be a, I don't even think it's going to be manual or hydraulic specifically, but it'll have different functions. It's going to be a tubing roller. So I've got some bearing blocks here that I ordered. I've got a spare hydraulic jack that I'm going to use. I've got to set up a design and get my plasma table, cutting out the pattern, and then get this stuff together. So a little bit of a start of what I've got here. So I've got my 6-ton hydraulic bottle jack. I've got a couple sets of different pillow blocks here. I've got these with a 2-inch bore. That way I can make a, I've got some 3-inch 4140 tool steel round bar that I've got ordered. I got to go pick up. And that is going to be my shaft diameter to support the weight and the load that this whole thing is going to have without bending the shaft. So once I get all that turned, I'll heat treat that so it's hardened. These pillow blocks will actually be mounted upside down because they will be the center shaft that will be putting pressure on the 2 outer shafts, and these will be the outer shafts that will be fixed on the frame. So I've got the steel over on the plasma table, and I've got a design that I've got, but I've got to change it up a little bit. In my head I was thinking about something and I want to go ahead and modify it. So we go ahead and modify the design and start cutting this stuff out. Got some parts cut out, so I got a lot of cleaning to do. And then I will, this is an internal box that goes between the 2 plates. That'll be what slides up and down. The shafts go through there. Yeah, so a lot of cleaning, a lot of assembling. So there I got the box made. That's going to be the through shaft going through. And this is where the jack is going to sit. I've got to probably make some kind of a, I don't know if I'm going to box that in to really solidify it or what, but this is where the jack's going to sit. And this whole thing will sit on its side on this plate, on this, and then this one will sandwich on top of that, and this will go here, and that will be my vertical guide that will sit in here and raise and lower this center roller. So the jack will push on a top plate up here. It will push this down based on where I want it. So I'm spacing these guides off of this box. That way they won't sit flat. So when I mount the face onto this, it won't be a lot of binding. It'll actually sit up a little bit and it will actually glide better in this pocket. So I made up these spacers. They are beveled on this side for welding. They're drilled and tapped on this side for 1/2-13. That way I can remove this plate, put all the mechanics back in it, put the plate back on. I'll be building a bottom and a top that'll have folded edges, and they'll be bolted across the bottom for stability and rigidity. So I'm going to call this a night, but I am going to get all these welded in place and done. This is made, so that'll go in there, and yep, that'll be a good stopping point for tonight. Got the majority of it assembled. Got the frame in, got the slide in. I've got these tight, these bolts tight. The back end of this stem is welded to the back piece, but I have to put a bevel on the inside of this for the weld bee that's on the inside here, and that way this whole mechanism can slide up and down. With it tight the way it is, it pinches it in place, and all I have to do is loosen it, and it will just drop that little bit. But you can see there's kind of a gap on this side, not so much on this side, so it's just flexed a little bit in there. I'll get it worked out. It's getting there. I went ahead and got the back welded in. Got this 4-inch piece of quarter thick plate. Got it all welded up to this back frame, so that is stationary. I am probably going to run a bead down there. I'm not sure yet. I've got it tucked in. I've got a lap joint welded on the back. On the bottom, I've got the corners welded in here. I've got it stitch welded some inside there. So this piece ain't going anywhere. This piece unbolts and bolts back in so I can take the whole assembly apart. So now that'll move. I think I'm gonna call it a night. I've got a lot of welding to do on all these edges, but I'm running out of gas in my tank, so I gotta switch tanks tomorrow. But I think that's it. So I'm gonna get ready to cut these shafts out. And I have some 3-inch 4140 bar back there, but my steady rest on my lathe will not handle 3-inch in diameter. Luckily, I found this. I had some 2 1/4 inch, 57 inches long. I need 3 18-inch bars. Perfect. This one right here is going to be awesome. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to get those in there. I guess a new steady rest is on one of my project lists to make. That way I can handle larger diameter and get rid of these. I don't know, these are bronze or brass bushings here. Go to a roller bearing instead and make myself a decent steady rest. All right, time to start machining this thing out. This is what I started out with. So basically just going to be a shaft for all my attachments. It's going to be keyed there. There's going to be a snap ring here, a shoulder to match the bearings, shaft to go through the bearings, another shaft with a keyway back here for the main sprocket, for the drive sprocket, and a 5/8 tapped stub here. That way I can lock the sprocket on the back. Alright. Started out with this. Two and a 1/4 inch bar. Ended up with this. Not too bad. Now I've got to make 2 more. All right, so that's about all I'm going to do on this part. The next part is going to be the rest. I'm going to say the other half of this thing. So I'll spin the camera around, show you what we got left, and maybe a little overkill, but I don't know. I just do things all weird. So, all right, let me show you what I got. All right, I've got door jambs. Both sides. I've got doors for both sides. I've got door latches, paddle latches for both sides. Lockable, but I'm not sure why I'd need it. The double acting hydraulic valve for up and down and left and right. Hydraulic motor for rotational purposes. Two sets of bearings for underneath, because out of this motor is going to go a transitional shaft. And I'm going to have gear reductions to take the amount of rotations this has and drop it down incrementally to rotate the drive shafts up top. Only going to need two door hinges. This is number 60 roller chain. I've got two 10-foot sections. The cylinder, of course. A couple little odd and ends just to box in some stuff. For this, I'm gonna have to make brackets, reinforcement brackets, so that the pin isn't spanning a 6-inch distance, so I can actually have extra support so the pin won't bend. I've got hydraulic lines to run, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a quick disconnect set up on this, sticking out of the back, so that I can actually power this from either the back side of my tractor or my portable hydraulic power unit. So that way this will not have any kind of motor at all in it. It'll just be quick disconnect fittings. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. This part one is done. I'll see you on the next one.